Captain Marcus Stone had seen many strange things during his 20 years commanding deep space cargo ships, but nothing prepared him for what waited in the bridge of the derelict alien vessel floating dead in space. The massive ship, larger than any Earth battleship, drifted silently near the Jupiter mining colonies. Its hull bore scars from weapons fire, and strange symbols covered its surface like warnings written in blood. Stone's crew worked carefully to board the vessel through an airlock that seemed designed for beings much larger than humans. The corridors inside stretched impossibly high, with walls that curved in ways that hurt to look at. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows as they moved deeper into the ship, following the faint energy readings that suggested someone or something was still alive aboard. In the command center they found him. Ambassador Krelix of the Andronian Federation lay dying against what appeared to be a communication console. The alien stood nearly 9 feet tall, with 4 arms and skin that shimmered like polished metal. His large eyes, the color of deep ocean water, fixed on Stone with desperate intensity. "Human," Krelix whispered, his voice creating harmonics that made the human's bones vibrate. "You must warn your people. The Zephyrian Empire comes. They bring death to all who resist." Stone knelt beside the dying ambassador, noting the strange technology embedded in the alien's chest that seemed to be keeping him alive. "Who are the Zephyrians? Why are you warning us?" Krelix's breathing became labored as he pressed a crystalline device into Stone's hands. "We underestimated your species, thought you were primitive, harmless. The Zephyrians made the same mistake with us. Now our worlds burn." He coughed, a sound like grinding gears. "This contains everything. Our history, their weapons, their weaknesses. Use it wisely." The crystal pulsed with inner light as data flowed into Stone's portable scanner. Images flashed across the screen, showing massive fleets, planets reduced to ash, and billions of beings fleeing in terror. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 12 star systems in the past decade, enslaving or destroying every civilization they encountered. "How long do we have?" Stone asked urgently. "Months, maybe less," Krelix replied. "They study their targets carefully, watch, learn, then strike without mercy. But they expect weakness. They do not understand what humans become when threatened." The ambassador's eyes began to dim as his life support systems failed. With his final breath, he grasped Stone's arm with surprising strength. "Show them what Earth's children can do when their home is threatened. Make them remember why the universe should fear the humans who refuse to kneel." As Krelix died, alarms began blaring throughout the alien ship. Stone and his crew barely escaped before the vessel's self-destruct sequence activated, erasing all evidence of their encounter except for the precious crystal now secured in Stone's cargo hold. The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks, but Stone used every moment to study the data Krelix had given them. What he discovered changed everything he thought he knew about humanity's place in the galaxy. The Zephyrians weren't just another alien race seeking conquest. They were something far worse, and Earth's peaceful expansion into space had attracted their attention. President Victoria Hayes stood before the emergency session of the United Earth Council, her weathered face grave as she addressed the representatives from every nation and colony. The chamber, carved deep beneath Geneva's mountains, had never hosted a meeting quite like this one. The holographic display behind her showed Captain Stone's footage from the alien vessel, and the room buzzed with urgent whispers in dozens of languages. "The data from Ambassador Krelix is clear," Hayes announced, her voice carrying the weight of command earned through decades of crisis management. "The Zephyrian Empire has identified Earth as their next target. Their advanced scouts are already in our outer systems, studying our defenses and preparing for invasion." Councillor James Richardson of Mars Colony leaned forward, his augmented reality display flickering with data streams. "Madam President, according to this information, the Zephyrians have never faced significant resistance. Every species they've encountered either surrendered immediately or was crushed within days. What makes us think humans will be different? Hayes gestured to her military advisor, General Patricia Wolfe, whose scarred hands spoke of battles fought in Earth's last conventional, a war 20 years earlier. General, please share your assessment. Wolfe's presentation filled the chamber with tactical displays showing Earth's current military capabilities. The Zephyrians expect us to fight like the species they've conquered before. Centralized command, structures, predictable battle formations, surrender when leadership is eliminated. She smiled grimly. They don't understand human military doctrine. We don't fight wars. We fight until there's nothing left to fight with. Then we fight with our bare hands. The Jovian representative, Dr. Nathan Cross, activated his communication link from the Outer System research stations. General Wolfe is correct. My teams have been analyzing the tactical data. The Zephyrians rely on overwhelming force and psychological warfare. They destroy command centers, eliminate leaders, and expect organized surrender. But human military structure is designed for decentralized operation. Cut off the head, and 10 more grow back. President Hayes nodded approvingly. Dr. Cross has identified our greatest advantage. The Zephyrians have never faced an enemy that becomes more dangerous when cornered, more unified when threatened, and more creative when desperate. A young voice cut through the chamber's tension. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell, the youngest person ever promoted to strategic planning, stood from her position near the back. Madam President, with respect, we're missing the larger picture. The Zephyrians don't just conquer civilizations. They study them first. They've been watching us for months, maybe longer. They think they know us. She activated her tablet, projecting data that made several council members gasp. But here's what they don't see. Every human conflict in history has followed the same pattern. We adapt faster than our enemies expect. We innovate under pressure. We turn their strengths into weaknesses. General, Wolfe's eyes brightened with understanding. Lieutenant Commander Mitchell is suggesting we let them come. Not just let them come, Mitchell replied, her voice gaining confidence. We make them think they're winning. Let them believe their intelligence about human warfare is accurate. Then when they commit to their attack pattern, we show them what humans do when we stop holding back. The chamber erupted in debate. Representatives argued about the risks of allowing an alien invasion force to approach Earth. Some called for immediate surrender negotiations. Others demanded a preemptive strike with everything humanity could muster. President Hayes raised her hand for silence. The decision cannot be made by committee. As President of the United Earth Council, I'm implementing Emergency Protocol 7. All Earth military forces, all colonial defense fleets, and all civilian resources are now under unified command. She paused, looking directly into the cameras broadcasting to every human settlement in the solar system. Citizens of Earth and her colonies, we face a choice that will define our species for generations. We can kneel before aliens who see us as insects to be crushed, or we can show the galaxy what happens when you threaten the children of Earth. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would fight. The Zephyrian war fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system like a dark tide washing over the stars. Admiral Korath, Supreme Commander of the invasion force, stood on the bridge of his flagship, Void Render, watching his tactical displays with satisfaction. 2,000 warships, each capable of reducing a planet to ash, spread across space in perfect formation. Status report, Korath commanded, his voice a low rumble that made his subordinates' shells rattle with fear and respect. The Zephyrian commander stood 12 feet tall, his carapace scarred from 100 conquests, with 6 arms that could crush steel and eyes that had watched worlds burn. Admiral, his intelligence officer reported, her voice carefully neutral. Human defenses appear exactly as predicted. Scattered patrol ships, outdated weapon systems, no coordinated response. Their largest vessels are cargo haulers converted for military use. This will be over within hours. Korath's mandibles clicked with amusement. The humans were reacting exactly as their psychological profile suggested. Panic, confusion, desperate transmissions calling for surrender negotiations. It was almost disappointing. He had hoped for something more challenging from the species that had impressed the dying Andronian ambassador. "Begin the demonstration," he ordered. "Target their Mars colony first. Use minimal force. Let them see what happens to those who resist." The lead battle group moved toward Mars, their weapon systems charging with energy that could crack moons. But as they approached the orbital defense platforms around the Red Planet, something unexpected happened. The human defenses didn't activate. Instead, they simply vanished. "Admiral," the sensor operator called out, confusion clear in her voice. "The Mars defense grid has gone offline. All stations appear to be evacuating." This was wrong. The pattern was always the same. First came desperate resistance, then gradual realization of hopelessness, then surrender. The humans were skipping straight to evacuation, which should have been satisfying. Instead, it made Korath's tactical instincts scream warnings. "Sir," another officer reported, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth, a single human requesting to speak with you directly." On the main screen appeared a human male, elderly but with eyes that held depths. Korath found unsettling. The human wore simple clothes and sat in what appeared to be an ordinary office, completely at odds with the massive war fleet bearing down on his world. "I am Dr. William Chen, Director of Earth's Defense Council," the human said calmly. "Admiral, Korath, I presume. We need to talk." Korath leaned forward, intrigued despite himself. "Human, you are in no position to make demands. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." Chen smiled, and something in that expression made several Zephyrian officers step back from their stations. "Admiral, you've studied 12 species. Before coming here, how many of them asked you to reconsider?" "None were foolish enough to waste my time with negotiations." "That's because none of them had a choice," Chen replied. "We do. You see, Admiral, we've been preparing for this conversation for 6 months. Ever since Captain Stone brought us Ambassador Krelix's warning, the bridge fell silent. Korath's intelligence reports had made no mention of contact with Andronian survivors. Impossible. We confirmed all Andronian fleet elements were destroyed. Chen's smile widened. "Admiral, may I show you something?" Without waiting for permission, he activated a display that made Korath's blood turn cold. It showed real-time tactical information about the Zephyrian fleet. Ship positions, weapon charge levels, even communication frequencies. Information that should have been impossible for humans to obtain. "You've been studying us for months," Chen continued conversationally. "Learning our weaknesses, planning your attack. Did you ever wonder why it was so easy? Why our military communications were so simple to intercept? Why our defense plans seemed so obvious?" Korath realized the truth a moment before his tactical officer screamed the warning. Every piece of intelligence they had gathered, every strategic advantage they thought they possessed, had been carefully fed to them by the humans themselves. "You wanted us to underestimate you," Korath whispered. "Admiral," Chen said, standing. From his chair, "Humanity has been practicing warfare since before your species discovered fire. We've been killing each other in increasingly creative ways for thousands of years. The only thing that ever united us completely was a common threat." The tactical displays around Korath's bridge suddenly showed the truth. Human ships weren't retreating, they were repositioning. Civilian vessels weren't evacuating. They were revealed as disguised warships. The entire solar system had become a trap, and the Zephyrian fleet was caught in the center. "Thank you for bringing your entire invasion force to one location," Chen said pleasantly, "It saves us the trouble of hunting you down across the galaxy." The first phase of humanity's counterattack began with silence. Across the solar system, hidden weapon platforms that had masqueraded as mining equipment, communication relays, and asteroid processing stations suddenly revealed their true nature. The Zephyrian fleet, spread in what they believed was a dominant formation, found themselves surrounded by firepower they hadn't known existed. Commander Lisa Harper coordinated the assault from her position aboard the dreadnought Human Determination, one of 12 massive warships that had been disguised as deep space cargo haulers. Her tactical team had spent 6 months planning this moment, studying every detail of Zephyrian battle doctrine through the intelligence provided by Ambassador Krelix. "All stations report ready," Harper announced to her bridge crew. "Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're showing the galaxy what happens when you threaten human children." The Zephyrian Admiral Korath was still processing the trap he'd fallen into when the humans struck. But instead of the overwhelming barrage he expected, the attack came in waves, designed to inflict maximum psychological damage while preserving his fleet for study. The humans weren't trying to destroy them quickly, they were demonstrating their capabilities. Human fighters, small and agile craft that Zephyrian sensors had dismissed as civilian shuttles, swarmed around the massive alien battleships like angry hornets. Their weapons, crude by Zephyrian standards, proved devastatingly effective when used with human tactical doctrine. Instead of trading shot for shot, they struck at connection points, communication arrays, and weapon cooling systems. "They're not trying to destroy us," Korath's tactical officer reported, her voice tight with confusion. "They're taking us apart, piece by piece." On Earth, Dr. Chen watched the battle unfold from the command center buried beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around him, representatives from every human colony worked at stations coordinating the most complex military operation in human history. Not just the battle in space, but the transformation of an entire species from peaceful explorers to galactic predators. "Phase 2 initiation," Chen announced calmly. "Signal all colonial fleets." From the outer colonies came ships that had never appeared on any Zephyrian intelligence report, vessels built in secret shipyards hidden in asteroid fields and nebulae. Warships designed specifically to counter Zephyrian tactics, incorporating technologies reverse-engineered from Ambassador Krelix's data and improved through human innovation. The Colonial Fleet Commander, Captain Robert Hayes, broadcast on all frequencies as his ships entered the battle space. "Admiral Korath, this is the Titan Colonial Defense Force. We represent 17 human colonies you didn't know existed. We thought you should meet us before we discuss terms." Korath's fleet was now completely surrounded, outgunned, and facing an enemy that had turned their own intelligence gathering against them. But the most terrifying realization was yet to come. The humans weren't fighting like any species the Zephyrians had encountered. They weren't trying to achieve dominance or force surrender. They were conducting an experiment. "Admiral," Dr. Chen's voice came through the communication array, "we're going to demonstrate something now. Please observe carefully." A section of the Zephyrian fleet suddenly found itself isolated from the main body by precisely placed human ships. The targeted vessels represented about 10% of Korath's total force, roughly equivalent to the fleet strength of a typical species. The Zephyrians had conquered. "These ships," Chen explained as human forces began systematically dismantling the isolated vessels, "represent the entire military strength of the Andronian Federation, or the Kelstari Republic, or any of the 11 other civilizations you've destroyed." The demonstration took exactly 14 minutes. When it was over, the isolated Zephyrian ships were completely disabled, their crews captured, and their technology catalogued. Not destroyed, captured. The humans had proven they could eliminate a significant portion of the invasion fleet without breaking stride. "Now," Chen continued, "imagine what we can do to your remaining 90% when we stop being polite." Admiral Korath stood frozen on his bridge, finally understanding what Ambassador Krelix had tried to tell him. The humans weren't just another species to be conquered. They were apex predators who had been pretending to be prey, and they were very, very good at it. Commander Harper's voice crackled across all frequencies. "Admiral Korath, you have won!" Chance to avoid learning why every human child knows the phrase, "fight or die trying." Surrender now, and we'll discuss terms. Continue this war, and we'll show you why humanity earned the right to call itself the children of Earth. The choice was no longer Korath's to make. The humans had already made it for him. 3 hours after Admiral Korath transmitted his fleet's surrender, representatives from 47 different alien civilizations arrived in Earth's solar system under flags of truce. The news of humanity's victory had spread across the galaxy faster than anyone thought possible, and every species that had survived Zephyrian expansion wanted to meet the beings who had accomplished the impossible. Ambassador Jennifer Walsh, Earth's newly appointed Director of Galactic Relations, stood on the observation deck of the orbital station New Geneva as the alien diplomatic vessels approached. Each ship represented a civilization that had fled their homeworlds, lived in exile, or hidden in the galaxy's remote regions, while the Zephyrian Empire expanded unchecked. "Ma'am," her aide reported, "we're receiving formal requests for alliance from 32 species. The others are asking for permission to establish trade relations." Walsh nodded, watching the diverse collection of vessels holding formation. At a respectful distance, the largest belonged to the Andronian Federation survivors, led by Ambassador Krelix's daughter, Yalara. The smallest came from the Whisper Collective, a species so advanced they existed as pure energy but had been forced to hide when the Zephyrians developed weapons capable of disrupting their quantum matrices. "Open channels to all vessels," Walsh commanded. "Let's introduce ourselves properly."